Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling. And man, I really appreciate you guys swinging by the channel to spend some time with me on the video. Always appreciate that. And guys, today we're going to have sort of an extensive conversation into fishing line. I especially want to talk about, the money that you spend on fishing line, as far as what you need to spend your money on, as far as, investing in it, and give you guys some tips and advice on sort of striking a balance between getting the best fishing line you can get and not killing your budget in the process. So going to get into that in today's video. Also, guys, just a quick reminder, I'd like to invite anybody interested in becoming a channel member here of Intuitive Angling. All you have to do is go to my YouTube homepage and you'll see a little thing that says join, and that gives you all the information on channel memberships. And channel memberships get like extra videos every week that aren't seen by the public for some more of my more secretive videos, some access to my personal email address for your fishing questions. So again, you can check that out by going to the homepage and just hit that join button. Okay guys, talk about fishing line here. I'm just sort of give you guys a little history of how I got to the point where I'm at right now with my fishing line, and how I've made that same decisions everybody makes. Back when I started out fishing, I bought my fishing line based upon what I saw the pros using. It's like, I remember seeing Bassmaster ads back in the late 70s where I'd see like Roland Martin with a Stren ad, or, Hank Parker with a Trilene ad. Excuse me. So a lot of the line I bought was just, monofilament line that I saw the pros use. And then I sort of settled upon, I went back and forth over the course from about 1980 to 1995. I used a combination of Stren, Trilene, and Maxima. I really liked the Stren line for flipping. I used that quite a bit for my flipping, and just mixed it up. But all I used was a monofilament line. And then about somewhere in the mid to late 90s, there was an angler from Missouri here named Jim Akins that was dominating here locally in the tournaments, fishing a little finesse jig. And he said one of the big secrets to his success was this new line called Seaguar fluorocarbon line, right here, what I'm using today. And I'd never heard of it. I'd never heard of fluorocarbon line or anything. And I went and bought a couple spools of it, and I started noticing a huge difference right off the bat. It's like you had so much more sensitivity. The line diameter was so much smaller. And after that point, I saw so many benefits of using fluorocarbon line for all my fishing. I completely switched to it and started buying Seaguar fluorocarbon, at that point. And I've been using it ever since. So I want to talk a little bit about, guys, as far as purchasing line, as far as what you need and how you can save some money and deciding to get really good line at a decent price. First of all, a lot of it depends on what your expectations are. Now, if you're a pond fisherman that does nothing but like get out there and wade farm ponds with a spinnerbait, yeah, you can get by with some cheap monofilament. But if you're even mildly serious about your bass fishing on a recreational level or a tournament level or whatever, you really need to transition as much as you can to fluorocarbon fishing line, because there's so many benefits to it. Fluorocarbon line has less stretch than mono, but it still has some stretch. It has more stretch than braided line. It's really small diameter. It's next to invisible in the water, super sensitive. There's a lot of different advantages to fluorocarbon line that not only help you get more bites, but it helps you land more fish, because you're going to get more bites by having the line that's small diameter and clear, and you're going to catch more fish with that line because a lot of it's more abrasion resistant than monofilament. You can get certain lure categories deeper with heavier line, even though it has smaller diameter. So for example, in the past where I had to throw a crankbait on 10-pound test line, if I was using monofilament, I can go up to like 17-pound test fluorocarbon line, and I get the same diameter. So it allows me to land more fish because I can use heavier line and still get the bait down. So from that standpoint, fluorocarbon line is the line that you want to go to. Now, obviously, guys, here I use Seaguar line. This is the line I use 95% of the time. Seaguar and VizX. It's a small diameter, it's super supple, super abrasion resistant. I'll put my Tackle Warehouse link in the description if you guys would like to pick up a spool. They got them in a lot of different spool sizes. This is the 600 yards. And then for other 5%, I use the braided line, the Seaguar Smackdown, and this is for like my punching mats or fishing a frog or something like that. But I only use it about 5% of the time. The Seaguar and VizX does most of my workload. Now, The thing about it is, like, if you're wanting to use fluorocarbon line, but you don't have a lot of money, like a lot of us don't, you don't want to spend a lot because it is a lot more expensive. Here's what you can do to save money with your fluorocarbon line. First of all, you can get by with most lure categories that you have out there. If you have 8-pound test line, just buy a spool of 8-pound test, buy a spool of 15-pound test, and buy a spool of like 25-pound tests. Because the 8-pound test line is going to take care of all your finesse applications, your drop shots, Ned rigs, shaky heads, small crankbaits, jerk baits, all your finessey stuff. The 15-pound test line is small diameter enough where you can fish, lots of different baits on it. Crankbaits, jigs, worms, spinner baits, just a lot of stuff. And the 25-pound test line meets all your heavier needs, like your flipping and pitching, big baits like your big spinner baits, your big glide baits, your big swim baits, some topwater lures. So if you don't want to spend a lot of money and get all the tests they have, because they make like 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 15, 17, 20, 25 in the fluorocarbon, but you can get by with like 3 different tests if you want to use fluorocarbon line and not spend a lot of money. That will suffice. It'll be serviceable for you to do that. Another thing that's going to save you some money, guys, is when you're using fluorocarbon line, unless you're using like 8-pound test line, don't use any backing on it. Just what you want to do is fill your reel completely full with the 15 or 25, and then what you can do is over the course of the next 6 or 8 months or year, you can take that line off and you can basically reverse it. In other words, tie your line on your reel to the end of a tree, walk all the way back with it as far as it goes, and then go tie your line to the other end of the line. That way you can reverse it and you can have fresh line that'll keep your line almost like brand new. Another thing you can do with it is, like, all line takes a set a little bit, not too much on like the Seaguar and Vizex because it's pretty supple. But one of the ways that you can take that stretch out or any type of kinks or line twist is run it behind the boat. Just cut your lure off out there and start peeling off line and troll behind the boat with your line for maybe 15 or 20, maybe not even that long, maybe 10 or 15 minutes. That will get all the kinks out. That'll get all the line twists, because some baits that you throw, it twists your line when the lures go out there, and you'll see your line twisting around the rod tip. So that's a good way to relax that line and take that twist out of it a little bit. And as far as the braided line goes, as far as if you don't want to spend a lot of money on a braided line, I would suggest just getting one spool of 40 or 50-pound tests, because you guys know I don't use braided fluorocarbon on spinning, so that's a non-factor for me. But 40 to 50-pound test will allow you to do all your heavy pitching and flipping. It's a good test for frogs. It's a good bait for like whopper ploppers or buzz baits. I probably use 40 and 50-pound tests most of the time, for my braided line. I could probably get by with just 40-pound tests for everything, more than anything. But the bottom line is, when you're talking about investing money in your fishing line, guys, it is well worth it to go to fluorocarbon line. There's so many advantages of it. And like I said, you can save a lot of money by just getting those 3 tests. Get you 8, 15, and 25, or depending upon the waters you fish. If you guys fish a lot of clear water impoundments, get you some 6 and 12 and maybe 17-pound line. If you guys fish a dirty water river all the time, get you 15, 17, and 25-pound tests. It just depends on the situation on the lakes you fish. But this is the one, guys. I've been using this forever, Seaguar and Vizex. I love this line. By far the best line I've ever used. I've been using it since the 90s. Never let me down yet. So just wanted to pass that info along. So hope you guys are doing good. We'll talk later.